The following episode of Movie Geeks United contains major spoilers regarding Star Wars: The Force Awakens. If you have not yet seen the film, we strongly recommend that you avoid listening to this episode until you've done so. Hello, everybody. It's Movie Geeks United. Got a wonderful show for you tonight, a show that we've been waiting for quite some time, because it's finally here, the biggest movie headline of the year by far. And of course, I'm referring to James Cromwell's recent arrest, protesting a power plant. No. I'm talking about the opening of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So we've all seen it, and we're all ready to share our initial thoughts on it. And then later on in the show, Adam will be joining us to run down those December Blu-ray releases, if you have any last-minute stocking stuffers that you need to go out and buy.
No, I can't wait, because I don't know what's coming out in December, so I really was
banking
on.
Maybe The Beyond will come out on Blu-ray. And,
yeah,
that'll be like
that great Christmas movie, The Beyond.
You know, when I was walking out of, I went to go see it again this morning, The Force Awakens. You know what, Dean? I thought of your boy Marjorie Gortney or whatever, I thought of his name while walking out of the movie, and I burst out laughing. That's so funny.
That's weird.
No, it's funny because I just kept thinking of that, on my way out. I was like, this name that Dean, this actor that Dean brings up, it just makes me laugh. I mean,
it sounds like the name of a Star Wars character. Almost.
I was looking for him.
I think he'd be great in a Star Wars movie if they could bring back Marjorie Gortner.
I want a whole spin-off movie about him.
Jesus. Okay, let's talk about the financials first, because that's what everybody's been speculating on. Initial estimates have come forward, but they'll probably be a bit higher by this time tomorrow. We're taping on Sunday night. So it made $238 million domestically in the first 3 days, which beat Jurassic World by something like 30-something million. Worldwide, it made $517 million. No, it made $279 million worldwide, which is below Jurassic World. But it might go higher, and they didn't open in China, unlike Jurassic World. That they opened in China the first week of January. But the Chinese aren't necessarily crazy about Star Wars, so China isn't necessarily a home run for Star Wars.
No. Can I add something to that though about China? They've never had a Star Wars movie come out since they become this box office bonanza, China. So they had to get all these like Chinese pop stars and everything to like introduce the trailers and everything to get the Chinese people acquainted with the thing, because they've never had a Star Wars movie released.
Why is that? There. Why has China not been a?
Because I guess the last Star Wars movie is 10 years ago. And isn't it just within the last decade that China has become this box office bonanza for that's because because that has been a big thing that a lot of people, and that's why like Disney a couple months ago Bob Iger and them were like, hey, let's not oversell this, because Star Wars is not a household name in China. That's the thing they kept saying. China is this thing that is so everyone's on the fence about, or it's questionable because they don't know how it will play there. I think it will play like gangbusters once they they
yeah,
get
I mean, why wouldn't it? It feels like you don't even really need to know. I mean, you don't even know, you wouldn't have to even listen to the dialogue or whatever for this movie.
Jurassic World made $99 million on its opening weekend in China. They don't think Star Wars will do that. So worldwide, so far, it's made $517 million combined with the U.S. and international. Mm-hmm. That is still second place behind Jurassic World. That's
really surprising.
Yeah.
Well, dinosaurs are such a universal thing, though, for little kids, maybe all over the world. That's what that's my initial response to that.
The weekend was front loaded. Most people went on Thursday and Friday. 72% of them were adults, and overwhelmingly male. So and then it had the largest opening day in history, but it did not have the largest Saturday or Sunday. That is Jurassic World. But It still might, if it has legs, which it might. And you got to remember, Jurassic World was also a summer movie. If this thing came out in summer, it would have grossed much more, I think.
That's the big difference. That's got to be the huge difference there. So, that's the explanation.
You know, the competition they're saying for this movie, the closest thing that in next year, Deadpool is the first movie they think that will be the first real competition for the movie. They're not, no one's including anything like 13 Hours or The Hateful Eight or anything else.
Right.
They're saying that Deadpool is like, and that's I think the first or second week of February. They're saying that's the first.
So what you're saying is that this is going to be the number one movie of the week. Every week until Deadpool.
I don't think so. You know what, Dean? The reason I say that is I'm not thinking The Hateful Eight, or even I'm thinking something like 13 Hours maybe come like the second week of January maybe. I'm thinking that could. But
what is that? What is 13
that's
Hours?
That's the one about Benghazi.
Oh, that's the Benghazi movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying.
I don't know about that. I don't.
No, I don't know
see
either.
That. Yeah.
I'm just looking at things, but I read a couple of weeks ago they really thought among like if we took a look at genre films, Deadpool was the first serious threat to Star Wars next year.
Okay.
Okay, so I take that with I would take that with a grain of salt.
All right,
it'll have legs. It's going to beat Titanic, but like I said, Avatar is a chancier proposition. So, what do we think about it? Who wants to go first?
Should I
go first since you're the huge fan. So you should go.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you. So I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it. My initial reaction watching the movie is it's wonderful. And I echo what Jamie said when he got home on Thursday night. I just thought that was probably that's how you do a Star Wars movie. And you're absolutely right. But I thought it was a wonderful movie-going experience, which I have, when you go see it with a packed house. And a lot of these great movies or fun movies we've talked about over the years, they haven't been packed houses. This was the first time in recent memory, I guess since The Dark Knight maybe, that I was in a sellout crowd and people were going crazy for it. And everyone, people applauded at, like when the Millennium Falcon shows up or when Harrison Ford or Carrie Fisher shows up. But it also has something that I haven't seen in a Star Wars movie in 30 years. It has emotion. It has a high level of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I know there are parts of the third one that have that, but that's stretching it. You're just trying to get like blood from a stone from that movie. From Revenge of the Sith. I'm sorry. You're just like, it's the best of a worst bunch. But this one just has everything that I think we wanted at the end of Return of the Jedi, even though we sort of knew that at that time there weren't going to be any further movies, it seemed like. This has everything you would expect. It was just a great time. I like everything about it. But it is, I have to say, a lot of people have been saying this is a fan service movie. Well, yeah, it's directed by a guy who is I would have to say, the ultimate fan at this point. J.J. Abrams, who has professed his love for these movies. And, I don't want to talk about plot specifics and everything, but I want to hear what you guys thought.
Well, I guess I'll go. We already kind of know what Jamie thought, just because of that statement.
Okay.
No, but I want to hear it in detail, though, Dean. Come on, don't sell them short.
Oh, well,
No. There's two people on the show. Go ahead.
Let me just say this. Okay, first of all, when I went to go see it, I should just tell this story. I think I have maybe a kind of a more reserved take on it, although it's not a take that is quite different from a few that I've seen. But I should say that when I went to go see it on Tuesday, I was very excited, and we're in the theater, and about an hour into the movie, the projector cut off for us.
Oh, shit.
And it stayed off for about an hour. Apparently there was some kind of problem. They're blaming it on Georgia Power or something. They were doing something nearby, and it created a power surge. So we sat there waiting for an hour for it to come back on. Very, very frustrating, you know. And of course, you know, I'm somebody who, you know, I was just sitting there wishing that we were watching it on film so the thing could start back up again. Instead, they have to like go reboot it and make all these phone calls and all sorts of stuff. It was really a nightmare. So then it starts up again, and we're into it about 30 more minutes, and it cuts off again.
Oh, my God.
And it stayed off for about 45 minutes this time. And then it starts up again, and right at the last 2 minutes, at the last time we're seeing Leia and Rey talking to each other in that last, and it flickers and it cuts off again, and this time it stays off. So I still haven't seen the last 2 minutes of the movie. Okay.
Oh my God, I'm so keen.
It took about 4.5 hours. And I'm not even counting the time it took me to get there and all that stuff. So, and they showed it again. You know, Disney showed it again that night and offered free popcorn and Cokes to everybody. But I was like, I've devoted 6 hours to this movie today. I can't devote another 4 to it. I just can't. So that said,
I'm sorry.
That said, it was rough. I have to admit, the last time it cut off, I screamed and I think I scared some people. I said, "Let's go back to fucking film for fuck's sake." Then we wouldn't have to be waiting around like this, you know. Because back then, you know, with film, you know, you just fix it and start the fucker back up again. So anyway, all of that said, I'm going to try and give a reasonable review of it. I really did enjoy it. I had fun in it. I thought that particularly Daisy Ridley was quite good in it. She's somebody that I think they can really hang their hat on in terms of the rest of the stories. John Boyega was good in it too, but I feel like they didn't give him nearly enough to do. Like I felt like continually we were seeing him in sort of the same kind of situations, same sorts of you know, shocked reactions on his face. It was just kind of a samey performance, although I think he did have a few laugh lines in it that were particularly strong. Particularly that moment with him and Captain Phasma or whatever.
Oh, that was good.
I'm in charge now. I'm in charge.
Why don't you got to tone it down. I love when they're performing. You got to tone it down.
Yeah, and I liked his scenes also with Harrison Ford. I liked their interplay together. Mm-hmm. With Lupita Nyong'o's character, I felt like, why couldn't they just have cast her in the movie? Why? That was probably my least favorite thing. One of my least favorite things was just the sort of Jar Jar Binksiness of it, although that character wasn't nearly as irritating as Jar Jar Binks, but I kind of wanted to see, I really just don't want to see any of those CGI characters. I just don't think that it's right, and I just don't like it.
When you have someone that beautiful, you don't need to give her a costume. I mean, she could have played herself.
Well, she could have been in it. I mean, she could have played that part just by being herself.
Yeah.
So, and I want to see her. That's a little disappointing. I was expecting that though, but still. BB-8 is a little too cute for me. Still a little high on the cuteness.
Though. He could jumpstart my car. Though. That's what I liked about him. I kind of
every time I see BB-8, I kind of just want to kick him like a soccer ball. And see him flying across the field there. But I was really invested in the movie by the middle of it. I particularly loved, and I think this is the best performance in the movie, is Adam Driver. I think he was superb in it, with the mask on and without it, and he was. I thought that he was menacing, although I don't quite. Okay, I mean, you guys know there's spoilers, so I don't quite buy him as Han and Leia's son. I just, I don't see the DNA connection there.
I get that. And you could have called the movie though. What's the matter? We need to talk about Kylo Ren. The kid's got issues.
Yeah, we need to talk about Kylo Ren. That's funny.
But I do want to say something. Didn't you guys all get chills when Harrison Ford calls him Ben? Didn't you all just get like a chill down your spine? I
didn't really make the connection until after I had thought about the movie. So, and that is neat. I think.
I mean, when he called him Ben, I was just like, holy, you kids named him after Obi-Wan? Oh my God! I mean,
yeah. I also have to say, I mean, of course, any appearance of an old character in the movie is magical. Mm-hmm. Particularly when, I love that moment where we first see Leia and Han together. I think that's a really great moment. I do think that they could have beefed up the dialogue because they were talking about their son in such hushed, muted ways that I thought, well, shouldn't they be having a more substantive discussion about this kid?
That's my one complaint. That's my one complaint. I wish they had more screen time together. They needed more screen time together.
I thought that that was a little short shrift. I think I would have preferred that. In the end, I really had a really great time at the movie. However, with the exception of the horrible projection. However, I do have to say my one big complaint with the movie, and the one thing that I feel it doesn't make it as spectacular as it could be. And I do understand why this is, but I do feel like the sort of the remake elements of the original Star Wars, that is to say, I feel like they aped the original Star Wars a little too much. I mean, every single element is there. And when are we going to get a Star Wars movie that doesn't have a big Death Star to blow up at the end of it? It's like, when are we going to break out of this
That's a great
cycle?
Point.
Because, I mean, what's the next Death Star going to be? Is it going to be as big as the galaxy? Is it going to be able to shoot across 500 Milky Ways to obliterate a planet?
Here's the thing. I agree with you because that is the thing. When I first read, a couple months ago that was the thing, that there was going to be this thing, I was like, it's bad enough that you guys in Return of the Jedi were going to have 2 Death Stars in it. There were originally going to be 2 Death Stars in the Return of the Jedi. And I guess because of budget constraints, they got rid of them. But I do have to say, really, it's been 30 years, you guys, maybe these things aren't working out for you. There's always a weakness that you can figure out. But
it's time to rethink it.
That's a legitimate complaint. I mean, you really have to say, come on. I mean, really?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like they need to break out of this pattern. I understand why they did it this time because, look, they were rebooting something. It's enough that they added, God bless them, they got Lawrence Kasdan in there to add humor to it that works. It's enough that most everything in it has weight to it, meaning that it's not just trickery. It's actual heft to things on screen for the most part. And it's enough that they got the feel of it back, and so I can't be too demanding, although I am demanding, but I can't be too demanding.
It's a good point, though. It's a very good point because even Harrison Ford in his character makes fun of it. It's another Death Star. I mean, you can't help but laugh at that line. When he says that, and they go, well, no, it's a lot different than Death Star. Yeah, it's just bigger. I mean, that's all. This is just bigger.
Big deal. It's a planet. So, I mean, it's like, but so that's my major complaint with it. It's just I'd like to see them move on and try a little bit of a different thing.
Well, they sort of have to. The way the story ends, I mean.
did you guys pick up on the big FU to the prequel trilogy halfway through the movie?
No, I didn't, actually.
Okay, the planet that they... All right, spoiler. The planet that they destroy is the main planet of the Galactic Republic, Coruscant.
Oh, okay.
And that's like, I sort of almost burst out laughing. I was like, wow, you guys really do hate the prequels as much as we do.
I didn't get that, but that's you're right. That is a big.
So what I like about that, though, just besides that it's a dig on the prequels, is you've made the galaxy, for lack of a better word, smaller. The Resistance doesn't have much of an army up there. Everything they have is on that planet, and God knows what the First Order has. I mean, so it's going to be a smaller. I mean, I would like to think a smaller two movies going forward because there's not a lot left. I mean, they really sort of
it'll be the next movie will probably be more of a team building movie. You know, like I'd like to see them try that, like something like a Dirty Dozen or something like that, where you're building not Dirty Dozen per se, but you know, where they're building a team, building a different characters coming in and
they're going to have to do that. I mean, I don't know how else you. Once you take a bold step like that, and you're like saying, okay, well, this is I mean, because like I was especially paying attention to it there. I was like, so you mean to tell me you guys only have this many X-wing fighters left in the whole galaxy? Oh no.
That's true. When the X-wings are coming up at the end, you're like, "Wow, this is not a huge huge contingent here." So.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous actually for the next movie because, like, whoa, what are you guys gonna do?
So, Jamie, what were your thoughts?
I thought it did exactly what it needed to do to satisfy the fans that were so disillusioned by the previous three.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was its major strength, and I think that was, in terms of making it a great distinctive film, it was also its detriment because it doesn't feel like its own film. So it follows all the beats. It could almost be a direct remake of the original Star Wars in terms of much of its story and even its pacing. Movies are paced very, very differently now. And a lot of younger people, I'm wondering if they're going to get antsy in the movie because they're used to watching Transformers and that kind of shit. Because Star Wars is paced a bit differently, and even the dissolves and things and the cutting between one story on this planet and the other story on the other planet, it mirrors Star Wars and the pacing of that film too. I think it's the best performances all around out of certainly all the prequel movies. The performances were across the board. I thought they were very good, and I thought they utilized the old characters beautifully. And I was thinking of the Third Man and how they build up Orson Welles' presence for so long before he shows up, and that results in one of the greatest screen entrances in history. They do this with Luke Skywalker throughout the entirety of the movie until the last frame of the movie. And I thought that was terrific, even though people are commenting on the last shot, which is a helicopter shot, veering around a cliff as Luke Skywalker standing across from Daisy Ridley. I thought it would have been better if they would have dissolved out of Luke Skywalker's face. But that's just a little nitpick. But
I'm leaning towards that, though. I'm definitely leaning towards that.
So Luke Skywalker's presence bodes well for the second one. I'd be interested to see how his arc turns out. I don't like whoever's taking over for the, I don't know the character name. Whoever's taking over for the Emperor, essentially, like the gigantic CGI, the Andy Serkis thing. Yeah. I didn't like that.
Again, same problem. It's like I just don't think that CGI characters work well in Star Wars. I think because of our collective experience with the both the messing around, George Lucas messing around with the originals, and also of course the prequels. I just think that they've just generally left a bad taste in all fans and all viewers' mouths. and I think that they should tone that down quite a bit, to erase it even.
I am so kind of I don't know what to think of this Supreme Leader. Look, there's a theory about him, who he actually is, that if it's true, it would just shoot this whole series in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, there were lots of theories about what was happening in this one, and 98% of them were wrong. But the other stuff that I liked, I agree with you, Dean, that Adam Driver's the high point emotionally of the movie for me, and that was a great scene between he and Han on the bridge. Yeah. But at the same time, I thought he played, especially with the mask on, I thought it was a very evil presence. And as soon as he takes off that mask, it becomes a kind of a more layered portrayal. I thought it was a very good performance. I
love the scene with him and Daisy Ridley, where he's sort of trying to mess with her mind, which some people have said is almost like a rape scene, which is kind of true.
It must be really hard to get the feel of those original Star Wars movies. I mean, even if you have so many elements from the original movie in it, that doesn't. I mean, Coppola had so many of the elements in Godfather 3, and that was a shorter period of time in between films, I think, and he still couldn't quite get there. So there's no guarantee that could happen, but I think J.J. Abrams was such a kind of a student of mimicry in a way that he managed to do it. And you could complain that it's a tired retread or whatever, but that is what we were promised, and that's what he gave us. He gave us a return to that feeling of the original trilogy.
Right. He delivered the goods. I think it's safe to say that they really came through. For something that we talked about when this first was announced, we were all really very skeptical. We were like, oh my God, they're gonna make another Star Wars trilogy, and we were all like, this may not work. And
I like that they took the stormtrooper. They took the stormtroopers from their homes when they were little and raised them up to follow the what is it called, the
First Order.
The First Order. That reminded me somewhat of terrorism as we know it today, even though maybe it was intentional that way. I'm not sure. When I came home, I said, now that's a effing Star Wars movie. And I said that because we haven't had a Star Wars movie in so long, since 1983, because these other ones were more interested in technology and subplots involving taxation and putting in the first all-digital character. It's like, so the movie worked in that respect. But is it a great movie on its own? It's fun. It's a return to summer movie innocence in December. It's a great movie. I think it's a very good Star Wars movie. I would say I think it's probably maybe the third best Star Wars movie.
I would agree with that 100%. I mean, it's I think because it's ironically that George Lucas set the bar so low that his own creation, he managed to do something that's very rare, to tarnish your own creation. To the point that no one wants anything to do with
George
it for a long
Lucas
time.
himself could not even return to that feeling of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
But, he gave this film sort of like a backhanded compliment when he saw it, and his reaction was, the fans will love it. I guess a backhanded compliment because he has always felt betrayed. The fans betrayed me, and as we said, he made us the second film, Attack of the Clones, was going to be the apology to the fans, and he made matters worse, if that's possible. And I think, I would love to see what his treatment was that they decided they weren't going to go with. I am very curious. Not because I think
it's probably much more of the same. That's why they dismissed it right out of the gate. Now, this movie, this trilogy has 3 different directors, so this upcoming trilogy, so Rian Johnson, who's doing the next one, I think, it'll be interesting to see what he does with it. They very well could have varying tones, like the original 3. Who knows? Maybe the second one will be the best one.
And he's interesting too because he makes darker movies. So I think so. He makes darker movies than J.J. Abrams does, at least. So
this is pretty dark for J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. So on that note, I'm kind of interested.
I like the basis of John Boyega's character, that he had an attack of conscience and he ran away. I mean, that was interesting to me. I like the visual touch that he had blood on his helmet at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Just from a practical standpoint, it sets him apart visually from the other stormtroopers, so you know who he is in that crowd.
Yeah.
But, the Daniel Craig. You guys know about Daniel Craig. That's been
Daniel Craig is the.
His cameo, and it was sizable,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me bring up another observation. This is the first time, speaking of John Boyega and the blood, there's a lot of blood in this movie for a Star Wars film.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I think that shot is the with the blood on his helmet is the first time I've ever seen blood in a Star Wars movie. Period.
And Adam Driver bleeding.
Yeah.
And and also characters getting wounded. I mean, Chewie gets wounded, and a lot of characters. And John Boyega gets wounded horribly at the end.
By the way, Oscar Isaac is really good in it too, and I can see where when they expand his role in the next 2, which I would think they would, where he's going to be taking over for Han. He's going to assume that kind of role.
It needs that.
Now the other thing that I have a little issue with. I mean, one of the big questions that is left after the end of the movie is, who is Daisy? What's her name? Rey's.
Daisy Ridley. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you that right now. I mean.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I think the music alone tells you. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't. Is everyone related to everybody else in this galaxy? I mean, it's just,
I know.
Like,
I know. When is is Lando going to show up? And he's going to be
John
what's
Boyega's
his
father.
name's father? Yeah. Is that what's going to happen?
Story? Did you hear that story on Amazon of the John Boyega action figure? And the description was Lando Calrissian's son. I'm not joking, dude. They had that a couple months ago. They had to take it down because people were complaining. Because, this is Finn. He's Lando Calrissian's son. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is getting. Yeah, it is getting a little ridiculous with the fathers and the sons and the daughters and the mothers and all. I mean.
But when Leia sees Rey towards the end of the movie, she knows exactly who she is. I mean, that's not something you say. Oh yeah, no. She knows. Oh, you're my goddamn niece.
Well, the other thing is, is Princess Leia, is General Leia now. They don't give her nearly enough to do. I mean, she's kind of like an ornament.
I have to agree with you, man.
I do think there's a reason for that. Maybe she'll have a bigger role in the next 2, which I'm sure she will. But I think it's because she just talks differently now. And after she speaks, if you see her in interviews, she's got that kind of lifetime smoker's, like everything So I listened to her dialogue, and she was, she was very measured, and she had just had single lines of dialogue. She wasn't given any long stretches of things to say. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
But can I say, I thought the interview she gave on Good Morning America was by far one of the greatest performances I've seen by her recently.
She was
and
terrific.
That's what's so strange about it. Carrie Fisher has tons of personality, and the thing that she's famous for is a character with no personality.
I agree. That's a real shame that they can't give her something more to do. Even some. Look, she even had some laugh lines in the first 2 or 3 movies. So I don't see why they can't go there now.
Well,
maybe she reminds everybody of Hillary Clinton too much or something.
Oh God, no, oh God, don't let's not even go there right now. After last night, I'm not sure about that. But I do want to say, I was. That's the thing. If I haven't issued there's not enough scenes of her and Han together, but there's not enough of her, and she and Mark Hamill have a lot of heavy lifting to do for these next 2 movies.
Yeah.
Because, I have to say something now. We know why Harrison Ford was so enthusiastic about this movie, because he got what he always wanted. He wanted to be killed off in Jedi.
Right.
Yeah. He's no wonder he was so enthusiastic.
And his role is better written in this than it was in the first 3. I mean, he's given some great stuff to do. I think he has an arc.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
It's funny, there are people out there who are already speculating that maybe Han isn't dead. They said, well, I mean, obviously, he falls into the infinite or whatever, and so forth. So he's got to be dead. But these days, we really need to see a body before we believe it.
I think
and I said, really?
He's not coming back. He's not coming back.
Maybe he'll come back as one of those blue ghosts.
No, he doesn't. That's the interesting thing, though.
But he doesn't have the Force, really.
He's
not really a Jedi.
The Force doesn't work that way. And this is a guy who never believed any of this stuff, and I just love how.
Although he does say that it's all true.
Yes, that's what I mean. His character arc throughout this whole thing, the ultimate, cynic, and then that look that he gives, but it's all true.
Yeah.
That's Jamie. That's why I agree with you. They gave him just so much to do, and that his character could really change. And obviously, he's great. My son believes in this crap now. He's obviously affected by all this. And it is a great swan song for him. He ain't coming back, kid. I don't.
Hey, can I say this? I have to ask this? Okay, so Kylo Ren. Where is he at the end of the movie? I mean, is he gone?
Got to go back and get trained by the big boss.
but he's there on the planet as it's falling apart and everything or whatever. So it's like
and they instruct him to go get him so he can complete his training.
Okay.
Yeah, right. The next movie is going to be maybe the juxtaposition. I do have a hard time with this new bad guy. I won't lie to you. I hope this is not. I hope it's a little bit. I hope it's handled better in future films, because in this film, I agree with you, Jamie. It's just like Dean. This guy's just not coming off as He just has a big bald head. He looks like an extra from the Twilight Zone to serve man.
It just looks like Star Wars kind of tipping its hat to some kind of Lord of the Rings thing. Not the books, but the film trilogy. So Star Wars doesn't need to do that. Star Wars is Star Wars.
Yeah.
It stands on its own apart from Lord of the Rings or any of that CGI shit.
Absolutely. I think giving it to each movie to a different director is one of the smartest things you can do. I'll be very curious to see how this one and the Rian Johnson one is. And I have high hopes for the Colin Trevorrow. You go online, fans are already saying, "Oh, that's going to be the worst one." How do you know?
They don't know anything.
That choice of directors makes it seem like it's going to mirror the first 3, with the second being darker and the third one being the roller coaster payoff kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that might give you a peek at what's ahead. I think their smartest move in this Force Awakens was bringing on Lawrence Kasdan. That was just terms of the bricks and mortar, I think he's the key.
Yeah, he always has been. And I like what he said, because Lucas had offered him the prequels, and he said, look, George, I'm just not interested in the past. I'm interested in the future. I mean, he said that flat out. He goes, I don't care about the Clone Wars and all that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This movie really makes the prequels like completely, almost erases them in terms of their importance. Even their importance to tell the story. Somebody was saying, "Oh, well, should I watch the other movies?" I said, "You can watch the first 3, but you don't have to watch the prequels because they're largely irrelevant now."
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, if you really want to see, another thing is Adam Driver's performance is so good. He's like basically J.J. Abrams understood. This is how Anakin should have been played. This is how Hayden Christensen doesn't have that range, and certainly Boyd doesn't. But there were a lot of great actors who could have picked for that movie at the time. We'll go with this guy. I mean, and he just—it's not to put shit on him, but he just doesn't have that range to do that. There were a lot of good actors you could have picked, but then once again, it goes to the director who.
He doesn't really have any malevolence to him. Yeah. I don't feel like very much malevolent. Although, I thought he was great in Shattered Glass, but that's a different kind of malevolence. That's
a great performance. That is.
And those performances are terrible in the prequel trilogy.
Oh God, there wouldn't.
I mean, some are. I mean, Ewan McGregor works miracles with that movie.
To make you even care anything. So
He's in this one. Ewan McGregor is in this one.
Well, I guess he has a cameo, vocally.
He has a vocal cameo in her when she touches the lightsaber. That whole dream vision sequence.
I loved that sequence, by the way. That was a very surprising moment in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, but when you hear that Rey, when someone calls out Rey, that's Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. I mean, they got him back.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So will it be nominated? Will it be nominated for Best Picture? The last question here.
I don't think so.
It might be, but I don't. This is Star Wars is a lot of fun and everything, and even at its best, they're not what we. I mean, even though the original Star Wars has got a whole bunch of nominations and everything, I don't see this in the cards for this one.
No,
I think that Mad Max is in most years one too many mass commercial entertainment action movies to be nominated for Best Picture. So I think if they get Mad Max in there, then they're done with that kind of.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going to get The Martian in there too. I feel very confident that The Martian's going to get in there.